Have you ever wondered where you are truly in the vast ocean of existence? What lies beyond the fleeting thoughts that race through your mind? If you could peer between them just for a moment, what would you find? Could it be that the entire mystery of life, the universe, and your very being is hidden in the stillness, is hidden in the silent gap between two thoughts? Pause for a moment, dear seekers, and ask yourself, what is the nature of this gap? Is it emptiness, or is it the doorway to something far more profound, something infinite, something divine? These are not just philosophical questions, they are the keys to your own liberation. The ancient sages, the Buddha, the Zen masters, what did they discover in this space? What secret did they find that changed not only their lives but the lives of countless seekers? Could it be that the very thing you're searching for is not hidden in some distant heaven but quietly present in the spaces you overlook? This is where we begin. Let us journey into this gap. Let us journey into this silence between two thoughts and discover for ourselves the infinite, the eternal that has always been waiting there. Dear seekers, the journey of self realization, the journey inward, is not a journey of great distance, but a journey into the vast silence of the heart. It is a journey into the gap, into the space between two thoughts. The scriptures have often called this space the divine abode. It is a door that, once opened, reveals the infinite nature of your being. You're not a mere mind body complex. You're not a collection of thoughts and desires. You are something beyond, eternal, timeless, and what the Upanishads call Tat Tvamasi, that thou art. But how do we find it? How do we grasp this infinite nature? Let us begin with a story from the life of Gautama Buddha. One evening, Buddha was sitting with his disciples in deep meditation. A man came, troubled by the chaos of his thoughts, and asked, "O Master, my mind is always disturbed. I cannot find peace. What should I do?" Buddha, with his usual serene smile, asked him to sit beside him in silence. After a long moment, Buddha said, "Watch your thoughts, but do not follow them. Simply watch." The man closed his eyes and tried, but he kept getting lost in the cascade of thoughts. Buddha observed him for a while and then said, "Look between your thoughts. There is a gap, however small. In that gap, your true self resides. Focus there." This teaching is simple, dear seekers, but it is very, very profound. Our entire experience of life is shaped by thoughts. We are endlessly thinking. We are endlessly thinking of the past, the future, our desires, fears, and ambitions. These thoughts create an illusion. They create a veil that hides the real nature of your being. But in the gap between two thoughts, there is no mind. There is silence, and in that silence, the infinite can be glimpsed. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna speaks of this when he tells Arjun that the true self, the Atman, is beyond the body and the mind. Krishna says, "The self is neither born nor does it die. It is eternal and it is beyond the fluctuations of the material world." This eternal self is hidden in the space between thoughts. And it is only when the mind is quiet that the Atman reveals itself. The Gita points out that it is not through more thoughts, more knowledge, or more striving that one reaches the divine. It is through stilling the mind, it is through sinking into the gaps between thoughts that one discovers the timeless truth. Now, this is not easy. The mind is like a wild horse, always running, always seeking something to hold on to. In the Zen tradition, they say that the mind is like a monkey jumping from branch to branch, restless and anxious. The Zen masters knew that enlightenment is not found through thinking, but through no mind. It is found through the realization that thoughts are merely clouds passing in the vast sky of consciousness. The real sky is not disturbed by the clouds. It remains still and vast, no matter how many clouds appear. This is the nature of your being, dear seekers. It is like the sky, infinite and eternal. Let me tell you another story. This time from the life of a Zen master named Hakuin. Hakuin was a great master, but one day a young monk came to him and said, Master, I have been practicing for years, but I cannot quiet my mind. Thoughts are constantly disturbing me. What should I do? Hakuin smiled and told him to go to a certain forest and sit there in meditation until he could stop his thoughts. The monk obeyed, and for weeks he sat, struggling with his mind, trying to control it, but the thoughts would not stop. Finally, exhausted and defeated, he returned to the master and said, Master, I cannot stop my thoughts. What should I do now? Hakuin laughed and said, Why do you want to stop them? Let them be. Just observe. Do not cling to them. Let them come and go as they please. But know that you are the space between them. In that very moment, the monk was enlightened. He realized that he had been trying to control something that did not need control. He had been trying to fix something that was not broken. His thoughts were not the problem. His attachment to the thoughts was. The real him, the eternal self, was beyond the thoughts. The real him was present in the gap between them. In that gap, he discovered his true nature, silent, vast, and infinite. This is what you must understand. The gap between two thoughts is the doorway to your true self. In that gap, there is no ego, there is no identity, and there is no suffering. The mind may chatter, but the real you is the silent watcher. The thoughts are transient, impermanent like ripples on the surface of the ocean. But the ocean itself, which means your being, is deep, infinite, and undisturbed. The Upanishads speak of this when they say, the Atman is beyond thought, beyond speech, and beyond all that is known. Why is it beyond thought? Because thought is a limitation. Every thought has a beginning and an end. But the self, the Atman, is eternal, it is infinite. To discover this, you must let go of your identification with thoughts. This is why meditation is so crucial. Meditation is not about controlling the mind, it is about witnessing the mind, watching it from a distance. When you meditate, you begin to notice the gaps, you begin to notice the spaces between your thoughts. At first, they are small, fleeting, but with practice, these gaps grow wider. And in these gaps, dear seekers, you will feel the presence of something vast, something beyond comprehension. That is your divine nature. That is the infinite consciousness that you truly are. Dear seekers, this is the great paradox. You are already that which you seek. The divine, the infinite, the eternal is not something outside of you. It is within you, between your thoughts, in the silent spaces of your being. The journey is not to acquire something new, but to remember what has always been there, to wake up from the dream of thoughts and to realize the vastness of your own consciousness. Let go of the mind's noise and sink into the gap. In that gap, you will find your true self, the self that is beyond birth and death, which is beyond time and space. This is your divine infinite nature, always present, always waiting between two thoughts. Let us sit in silence now and touch this space, this gap, and see that we are indeed the infinite.